All right, welcome to part 2 of this series. As you can see, made some progress. Still a long way to go. A lot of changes, a lot of different things happened, a lot of unexpected things happened from the last video. If you haven't seen the last video, I'll put a link to it above right now for you to check it out. So let's talk about what's happened since the last video. All right, so when I started, this is where I started, and I specifically chose to start this way because in this cross section of the painting, there's a lot of different elements of the painting all next to each other. There's clouds, mountain distance, closer mountain. There's the house and shadow, house and light, roof and light, roof and shadow, and then the grass. And it made it easy for me to kind of bounce back and forth from all of these and compare them and kind of dial them in. But I did run into a problem, which is I got to this grass right here. I didn't know how dark to make it because I know I have this here and this grass is way more in the foreground than this. So the value is going to be a little different. So I was like, all right, I think I need to stop just working on this one area and block out the rest of the painting and get the comparisons of everything as a whole. This is a big trap I feel like a lot of people fall into, is they get stuck too much in one area and developing it, and they're not paying attention to how, this grass relates to this grass, how it relates to the path down here, how it's going to relate to the water, and like all the other elements that you don't have yet. So it's good to kind of get a block in of the entire painting. So that's what I did here. As you can see, I used paint that's relatively thin. It's thin just because I was spreading it out over such a wide area. But just to get a base, just to get relationships, it's a very key thing, is the relationships of, what this grass is like to this grass. You can see this is a little bit darker and a little bit more rich. This path still in the shadows, but definitely lighter than the grass. Also just getting in something for this ocean, because it's a very unique color in, the grand scheme of the whole painting here. So kind of getting that in, kind of getting in, something for these houses, just kind of see how they look back there, and then the rest of the clouds and the sky. So kind of getting this, it just gives me a better sense of how the painting is working as a whole, which is very important, especially when you're working on a big painting, because it's very easy to get caught up in, tiny little itty bitty areas and lose sight of the painting as a whole. All right, so this is the next phase. I've gone through and kind of like went through many different passes, moving around the painting, building the paint up, getting the color and the value to more of its truest form, and even starting to develop form. Like in this grass, you can see I have some darks kind of down there at the base, and then it gets a little cooler of a light on the tops because that's the reflected light from the sky. I've actually made a video about reflected light from the sky. If you want to check that out, I'll put a link to it above right now. And got my path here. Decided to put some puddles of water there for fun, and kind of liked how it was looking. Just still very, very rough here. I think I ended up making this even taller than I initially did. I can't remember. I think I did. I also wiped out an area here where I'm going to put a palm tree. If you can, like with an area kind of this big, or like a subject this big, you can always paint over oil paint, but a lot of times it's best just to kind of wipe it down a little bit in the area, just so it's easier to build up the paint. So I was like, all right, I still want a palm tree here. And notice that I'm very aware of like how high this post is and not making it the same height as the palm tree. I also didn't want the palm tree to be like up here, the same height as the house, like the roof. I also didn't want it to like come right here at this point where like this meets and that meets and it's tangent. Like I don't want that. So I thought this was a good little place for it to be. Got the stairs here, which were kind of fun to put in. Still got to work on those some more. Develop the color of the house a little bit. Starting to develop a little form with this mountain. You can see like kind of more of a shadowed side on this side. In the next photo stage, you'll see how I develop that even further. But actually, there was some changes that I wanted to make to this. Just I felt like, I don't know, there were some things kind of going around in my head. And so I took this photo and put it into Photoshop and made some alterations in Photoshop. And that's what this is right here. It was fun to like kind of test things out and develop it more. Like I kind of decided, I was like, all right, I'm going to put more of these leaves kind of coming up on this post, like a little bit higher. You know, you can see I developed form more, like pushing more lights on this side of the mountain, more darks on that side. Kind of played around with the grass, kind of seeing what it would look like if I pushed the cooler reflected on a light on top a little more. I was like, what if I put in a, you know, like kind of like a light beam, like the light's coming from this way. So like, what if like what's causing this all to be in shadow, you know, are like a wall of trees, and so some light is getting through. And I don't think I didn't end up keeping that in. The biggest change was like I was like, oh, I should change this road. Just what it was before was just kind of like that. Just it was a good lead in, but it just wasn't as interesting. I feel like this is a lot more interesting, kind of going straight and then the curve and everything like that. Also, I want to put in a person on a scooter. Having been there, like so many people ride around on scooters, and it's crazy. Like people just have absolutely no fear. Like on that entire island, this was like on the island of Koh Samui. I think we saw like one stoplight, like one street light. So everybody's just like just going like whenever. Oddly enough, nobody's honking their horns and everything worked fine. But you would see like people with like infants like on their lap, like no helmet, no nothing, just scootering around. So I was like, I'm definitely gonna put a scooter here. It'd be a good counter. Like, you know, you got this big house and then this small figure. It's kind of good balance. Thought that'd be interesting. Also, just kind of give a little more information for scale. Thought that'd be helpful. You know, still keeping the little puddles there, but I like the just kind of the directional element of this. So I'm gonna want to put that in. So for like putting in the road, what I like to do is just kind of got some like burnt sienna and a little cad red paint and kind of just drew it out, made sure I had the right drawing, the right perspective to get that in before actually putting it in. Just kind of like lightly, you know, blocked out where my person on the scooter was going to be, and then also up here kind of just roughly blocking out where everything is going to be. All right, and so this is where we are at now. See, develop this mountain in the back a lot more. I'm going to continue developing it, and I actually, I don't know, I'm thinking about simplifying it or just not showing as much brushwork. I feel like I see a lot of brushwork, which I don't know, can kind of using less or kind of making it not as busy will help sit in the background. I just don't want it to take too much attention. Definitely got to rework these buildings a little more. I feel like they're too bright and just, I don't know, they're just not working for me. It was fun putting in like little areas where there aren't trees, kind of using some like a little bit of burnt sienna and white and making sure to put like the appropriate shadow in the right place to kind of give depth to these kind of like bald spots on the mountain. Just started like getting in the leaves here, which was fun. I just started with like the darkest dark, and then just kind of built on top the shapes of the leaves. Still have a lot of work going in and kind of developing those and getting the colors right and getting that reflected light from the sky a lot better. Started putting in my tree here, which I think is working well. It's getting hit with sunlight, which is nice to have something green with sunlight on it in the foreground. And yeah, developed the got the road here. I'm actually thinking now, like I might make this road like a lighter sand color, still in the shadows, but just lighter dirt, to kind of make it a stronger player in the scene and kind of bringing us in more. So I'm probably going to play around with that and see if I can get that to work. I changed the clouds here and made them smaller, but I think I like the way it was before, where they kind of came up here. So I think actually I'm going to bring that back and have kind of more of the clouds like that. But I don't know, still thinking about how much I want to develop this. Like, I don't know if I put too much brushwork in here, if I want to simplify it or not. I definitely want to get more detail in the house here, and like I plan on having like little, like plants and stuff like hanging down uh from the edge of the roof here. Same over here. Gotta put the biker in, which is going to be a big thing. Also got to figure out a little more to do with the ocean here and kind of figure out the color and value a little better, and also maybe put some boats in there will be fun as well. But that's where I am right now. All right, so by the next video in this series, this painting should be done. I will have made the changes that I talked about in this video. Now, if you want to be a part of my online school, Paint Coach Studio, I got a link to that in the description of this video. If you want some bite-sized minute-long lessons, I got those on my Instagram at Forza43. All right, I'm Chris Fornatero here telling you to go get painting.